With YouTube demonetizing independent media, please consider becoming a patron today for just $1 per month. Link below. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and what the hell is that? This is popping up today. Everyone's talking about this here. Solo Rider says Lando Calrissian is pansexual, which to me is a really French way of saying bi. Right? Like, I know it's the new thing, you know, I'm attracted to anyone and everyone. It doesn't matter. Does it add to the character? That's where I'm at right now with every time something like this pops up. Does it add to the character? But let's before we jump to conclusions, let's take a look and see what was being said here. All right, so Lando Calrissian is pansexual. Solo, a Star Wars story screenwriter, Jonathan Kasdan, revealed. In a recent interview with the Huffington Post, Kasdan, with his father, Lawrence Kasdan, who penned the script, discussed the character having an open mind with what he likes in the most recent Star Wars film, which stars Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo and Donald Glover as Lando. Now, that could be in part because there was a couple things that came out from people that were just like, oh my God, they're totally in a relationship, you know, like Lando in a trailer said baby to Han, and they're like, ooh, yeah, give me some of that milk chocolate sex scene, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of what they were referring to, and I thought that it was pretty stupid because clearly that's not the case. Clearly we know that I think we can basically figure out where Han sits on the Kinsey scale, but Lando, on the other hand, they're trying to take a suave, debonair lady killer and turn him into this suave, debonair, I don't quite care what I have sex with. Now, when asked about Lando's possible sexual fluidity, is he pansexual, i.e. not limited in sexual choice with regard to biological sex, gender, or gender identity? The younger Kasdan replied with, I would say yes. There's a fluidity to Donald and Billy D. Williams' portrayal of Lando's sexuality. I mean, I would have loved to have gotten a more explicitly LGBT character into this movie. I think it's time, certainly, for that, and I love the fluidity, sort of the spectrum of sexuality that Donald appeals to and that the droids are part of. Oh, wait, okay, hold on. I know when it came to L337, that's a whole thing with like droid rights and hashtag droid lives matter. I know that was a big thing as well. Is Jonathan Kasdan implying here that that Lando Calrissian buffs his robot, right? Like gets in there and just buffs it out? Is that what he's implying? Because it sure sounds like that's what he's implying. And that's I don't think Disney is going to want to have none of that stuff, right? All right, Lucasfilm is not going to want to have none of that right now. Again, there's nothing wrong with having an LGBT character, but if their sexuality becomes the only defining point of their character, then that is more of a token than anything else. It's more of just a prop than it is an actual defining characteristic trait. Now, it says here, when Williams played Lando in the original trilogy, he was oozing with charm. He laid it on super thick with Leia, but Glover's Lando was different. Well, he's a younger person for one, but charm does not inherently mean fluid in your sexual desires. So it says here, he doesn't make any hard and fast rules. I think it's fun. I don't know where it will go. Well, I can tell you where it's going to go. I can tell you, just based upon the whole idea surrounding Lando Calrissian and surrounding Solo and surrounding this multi-billion-dollar franchise, the answer to that is nowhere. It's not going to go anywhere. This is going to be a fan fiction thing. That's what it's going to be here. It's going to be fan fiction, and that's where it's only going to stay. We're never going to see, like, you know, Donald Glover make out with a dude in a Star Wars movie. He's never going to go ass to mouth with Alden Ehrenreich. That's not going to happen. Now, it says here, the movie does not come out until next week, but some fans did notice in the trailer an exchange between Han and Lando where Guller's character says, you might want to buckle up, baby. There's another moment in the film, according to Huffington Post, where Lando's droid jokes about his owner's flirty attitude towards Han. Yeah, in the trailer it says, stop flirting. But keep in mind, these two kind of become, like, not besties, because that's obviously Han and Chewie, but they end up having a rapport, a camaraderie. And oftentimes that kind of stuff turns into what could be viewed as flirtatious. Now, we know when you break down the science of relationships, men or women having best friends of someone who is the same sex can basically have the same type of emotional connection without the physical desire for attraction that you would find in an actual relationship, right? Like, I have my best friend who I love dearly. I will love until the end of time. He's my best friend and I'm his best friend. And I have my girlfriend girlfriend who I love dearly and I'll love till the end of time. It's a different dynamic, but we also get emotional connections and responses out of it that they don't necessarily or inherently have to flow into someone's sexuality. And then kind of distill it down to that and to make it about that shows more about the people that are trying to reach and grab and scrape at everything that they can under the banner of representation matters. Now, I am all for having representation, provided that it becomes not like primary to the character, but secondary to the character. The character is a person with thoughts, feelings, ambitions, desires, hopes, fears, whatever. But to put their race or their religion or their sexuality first does away with everything else you've built up around them. And we're seeing that now. But one of the great things about, let's say, Black Panther is that Black Panther had a movie where the female characters in it were all strong, kick-ass women. And guess what? At no point in time were they like, I'm doing this because I'm a woman. Not like Lady Ghostbusters, that was a big thing. This has nothing to do with any of that. This has everything to do with just the characters existing in their own space, in their own right, and being good and proficient at what they do. Their gender doesn't matter. But here they're trying to do the same thing with sexuality, but make it play into the larger narrative when ultimately it will have zero impact on the overall story that we've seen on the screen next week, or even the future of the character in terms of the primary canon, therefore meaning future films. This is just another one of those moments in time where they're just trying to grasp at straws in order to appease a certain type of fan base on Tumblr that are going to ship the hell out of this. So Rule 34 of Lando giving Han the reach around is probably coming, if not already. Now, Lawrence Kasdan was a bit more cagey when asked about the instance, saying that is her personality. Maybe it means something, maybe it doesn't. Of course it doesn't mean anything. She's a droid that's talking shit to her boss, right? Stop flirting over there. She's giving crap to a friend. They're giving crap to each other. That's what friends do. Friends can give each other lots of craps. Friends can be jokingly flirtatious, and it doesn't imply anything in regards to their sexuality. We're in a time where people are so desperate to see their favorite characters turned into this kind of stuff that it ultimately just delineates, I don't want to say the experience, because I'm not going to go into the movie and be like, oh, Lando's going to be wanting Alden sausage. I ain't going to be thinking none of that kind of stuff. But if they're going to put an LGBT character into the movie, and they're going to put an LGBT character into the film, or someone on the gender fluidity spectrum or the sexual fluidity spectrum, I'm fine with that. But don't make that the primary focus of the character. Write a good character first, then add that in second. Start with a blank slate. And if the character is good and kick ass on their own, then add it in. Don't then make it a headline, because once you make it a headline, your narrative pops up. And once that narrative comes forward, and once that narrative is a thing, then people just really, they lump onto it. They latch onto it because, and I believe this is probably a fair assessment, they are just bored, I think. I do. I really do. I think they're desperate for something, so they'll take anything. Instead of taking the time and writing the character themselves and developing it themselves and going through the hard knocks of trying to get something made and get something off the ground and build a fan base and build an audience and build a career around these characters that you've created, they then instead want to turn to Hollywood and go, why don't you change what I like to make it how I like it? And we've been seeing this for years. Not just in movies, television, video games, books, comics. Every form of pop culture and entertainment has been infected by these people, because these are the type of people that are inherently angry. They're always going to be mad at something, and no matter how much you give them, how much you kowtow, how many times you bend over backwards to give them just a little bit of something in order to make it easier on yourself, to placate them just a wee bit in order for them to go away, they will always come back harder the next time around. You give them an inch, they'll take a damn continent. We've seen this. We've seen this for years, and now it's coming for Star Wars. I'm going to speak out against it, not because I'm bigoted or I'm homophobic or anything like that. I'm not. I don't ultimately care. I would prefer it if the characters spoke for themselves first as a well-written, well-rounded character, whereas their gender, their nationality, their religion, their sexuality, all of that plays second fiddle to whether or not this character is someone that you can identify with. And when you start breaking it down with those little very narrow-minded factors first, it makes putting one's person in the shoes of that character harder and harder to do, because then it turns around and it becomes the, oh, well, that character is not for you. That character is not for you to relate to. That character is not for you to like. That character is not for you to identify with. That character is for somebody else. You can't have them. That's not yours. Right? And you go down that dark path. You go down that dark narrative. And when that happens, all it does is just screw the freaking pooch for ever trying to have a conversation about people bonding over a character, right? Because you can have more positivity through conversation than you can through other way. Now, here's the thing. This is not one of those cases where Lawrence Kasdan or Jonathan Kasdan is inherently doing just that. Okay, they're playing it up a little bit. They were asked, the word pansexuality kind of was brought up by the interviewer. They kind of rolled with the terminology that the person used, but that doesn't matter now because it's basically going to say, oh, they're pansexual, even though they were a bit dicey in the ultimate description of it. Welcome to the entertainment blogging world. This has now gone full Tumblr. There's no turning back now. So we'll have to wait to see what the response to this is going to be. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to come out and say things like, I'm going to boycott the movie now. I don't want no pansexual, even if it has nothing to do with the movie itself. The people are just going to be angry about that. This is why these things have to be handled in a way that are a lot more tactile, right? And so I just would have been like, next question. You know, like, oh, you got to watch the movie to find out sort of thing. Like, play it, but don't give a direct answer, because I feel at that point in time, all you're doing is further causing a divide amongst a group of people that are looking for things to hate about this movie and other people that are looking for things to hate about this movie so they can be vocal about and try to get changed. Now, whichever one you think I'm talking about in response to this particular story is entirely up to you. Now, leave your comments below. They should be fun. They should be very interesting. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, check back often for more content from me. In fact, if you want to see more content from me, you can do so right now.